This is Amy Chan from CakeDecoratingSchool.com, and if you like cake decorating, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to be talking about standard size couplers. So couplers in general are two-piece assemblies. You have the larger part that you insert inside the bag, and you'll see it has these threads on it that allow you to screw the ring in place. And the ring goes on the outside of the bag after the tip, right? So as far as tips go, for the standard size couplers, they want you to use what they refer to as standard size tips. And I have seen a few things online where people have bought the smaller couplers and then haven't been able to use them with the tips. So I just wanted to show you a few things, right? First, the two of them next to each other, you'll notice they're very similar in size. If you order tips that are too big, like this guy, you won't be able to use them together. As you can see, he dwarfs it, right? So, and then the base, these standard size tips are about 11/16 of an inch wide at the base, or just under 3/4 of an inch. So it's important when you're buying your tips, sometimes it's helpful to spend just a little more and buy the same brand as the couplers to make sure that they match. Occasionally, if you buy off brands, they'll be a little off in the size and you might find that they don't fit well with the couplers, and that can happen. But in general, with these Ateco couplers, I can use Wilton or Ateco tips, which are widely available and not too expensive, and use them interchangeably, and I don't have any issues. Right? As far as using them, I typically use them with disposable decorating bags. You just want to take the larger portion, slide it down into the bag, right? And then I typically cut about 1/2 inch to 1/4 inch past where that coupler ends, right? And you can then place the tip on and screw the ring in place, and that'll hold your tip on, right? And you're ready to go. You can load your bag with frosting, whether it's buttercream, royal icing, chocolate ganache, and get started. And then if you want to change your tip, or if you have any problems, say like with royal icing, because it starts to crust really quickly, so you can get blockages, it's easy to change the tip or free up any clogs. So you can keep piping with a variety of different tips, right? As far as these go, I've had so many of them over the years. Occasionally, yes, I do lose the rings. They tend to hold up really well. Every once in a while, I'll get a ring that breaks after several years of heavy use, but they're a really good buy for the money and they last for a really long time. The one thing that I do have that occasionally happens is stains. So this typically occurs when I'm using something over the course of a couple of days and it's a really dark or intense color, like this one had red in it, so now there's a pink stain here. If I load a lighter color, especially of a running frosting, like maybe say a flood royal icing, I might see some pink staining coming out. So there's a good way to take care of this, and this is something, mind you, you can only do with your couplers because they're plastic. Never, never do this with your tips. They're metal, it will corrode them, right? So I've got a little bit of liquid dish soap just in the bottom of a quart container. I'm gonna put, right, any little stained ones I have in with it, right? And I've made sure to separate all the pieces, right? So all the rings and the inserts are separated, right? And I'm gonna add just a little bit of baking soda and some warm water, right? And you can see the baking soda is kind of fizzing up and doing its thing. And just give it a little stir to make sure the soap's mixed in there as well. And I'll let it sit for 15, 30 minutes, and then just give them a good rinse with some nice warm soapy water. And that should take the majority of your stains out. Every once in a while, if something's really bad, it does need to soak just a little bit longer. But that should get rid of any residual staining that's on your couplers, and then you can clean them as normal. So we've let our little container of couplers sit for a good 15 minutes. And normally when I do this, I would dump all the liquid out, rinse it with water several times, just to make sure I'm free of all the soap and everything, but just for effect, so that you all can see that these are now, in fact, free of color, right? Just a little soak does it. And typically, when I'm drying things like this, I'm either putting it up on a drying rack or I'm laying it out on a nice, clean, dry paper towel just to absorb the extra moisture. make sure it has some flow underneath and they dry out completely. This is also a good way to check and catch stains in your couplers and tips, because if it has any color in it, you'll see a little spot on the paper. But just in general, you can see that all these little couplers and the rings are now free of any stains and excess colors, right? So I'm just gonna leave them out to dry and they'll be all ready to use. So you just wanna make sure you're washing them off enough that they're free of any soap and baking soda. So it's a great way to just care and store your couplers. So if you enjoyed this video, please check out more on our YouTube and our Insta.